Hello and welcome. How is everybody? Great to see you. Let me see. What am I doing? I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. Thanks so much for coming. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm Charli. I'm your host this evening, and our fabulous moderator is Christine, who I am thoroughly frustrating, I'm sure. Say hello, Christine. So, for the first half of our show, I'm going to be discussing viewers' topic of choice, which is dream work. For the second half, I'm going to open the studio where you can join me live for insight into any questions you may have. That link will be posted in the comments. Please like and share with whomever you feel will benefit from this. Now, for my usual disclaimer, my way is not the only way, nor is it the only right way. It is simply my way that I am choosing to share with you in the hopes that it will assist you on your path and development. Okay, so today we're going to talk about dream work. What is it? Actually, there is many names given to this ability: astral travel, astral projection, dream walking, and even prophesizing. I like to stick all those labels under the umbrella term dream work. Okay, how many people that's watching can actually remember those dreams that they have? Have you ever wondered why sometimes you can remember and other times you feel like you haven't dreamt at all? Well, actually, scientists have researched this for years. Dreaming occurs when we achieve REM sleep, REM sleep. It's the state when the body has this physical reaction of rapid eye movement, which is why we call it REM. Dreaming tends to occur during that time because our brainwave activity resembles the same brainwaves as when we're awake. This stage usually begins about 90 minutes after we fall asleep, and it can last for up to an hour before we awake. Now, Dr. Alex Dimitrou, whose name I'm sure I'm butchering, he is a double board certified in psychiatry and sleep medicine, and he is the founder of Psychiatry and Sleep Medicine States. Now, he says whether people remember their dreams or they don't, every single person, they dream in their sleep. It's an essential function for the human brain, and it's also present in most species in general. While some people theorize that dreams are a window to the subconscious, other theories demand that dreams are nonsense result of the activity that takes place when we're sleeping and restore our brains. So if our need to dream is any indication of the brain participating in this restorative process, our inability to remember our dreams may simply be due to that sorting of essential and non-essential information during sleep. So basically, this theory suggests that dreams occur when our brain is processing information, when it's getting rid of all the fluff and moving important short-term memories into our long-term memory. So people who have good dream recall may have a difference in the ability to just memorize things in general. From a shamanic perspective, the brain is always trying to bring awareness and healing to the mind and the body and the soul. So, with that said, my belief is that dream activity can be so real and so intense that our brain may actually hide all the details or even mask them so it won't cause more trauma or harm to the psyche. Thus, it gets lost between those moments shortly after waking. So, in short, it's a perfectly normal and natural thing to not remember all dreams. So, what if you want to work on remembering? Well, the good news is that you can train yourself in this field. There's a region in your brain called the temporal parietal junction, which is the processing of information and emotions. This region can also put you in a state of intra-sleep wakefulness, which in turn allows your brain to encode and remember, if you will, your dreams better. There was a study that was published in the Journal of Neuropsychopharmacology, and it reported people who had a high dream recall actually had more activity in that junction than those who didn't recall their dreams quite as often. So if someone is consistently or doesn't get enough sleep, the amount of REM sleep they experience is going to drop. So it makes it harder for them to remember their dreams the following day. So things like alarm clocks, irregular sleep schedules, it can actually result in abruptly waking during that dream or REM sleep. So it will result in the recall of dreams. Things like sleep apnea or alcohol consumption, that will disturb sleep as well. And it can actually cause a successful dream recall. The grandfathers of mastering this particular skill would be Edgar Cayce, Albert Einstein, and by the Dutch author and psychiatrist Frederick Eden. That's Eeden, for which the term lucid dream was coined by. So I have given our moderator, Christine, all the links to post some helpful reading recommendations in case you guys want to pursue this on your own further, which I hope you do. So Edgar Cayce, he was actually known as the sleeping prophet. I'm sure it's still challenging to even say that word, prophecy, for some people in relation to metaphysics. It is, however, a really beautiful, insightful experience. And yes, it's something that you have the capacity to do. Now, over the years, I've trained myself and also students to sleep with a notepad and a pen next to the bed. So, that I personally can record as much as I can remember as soon as I wake up. Later, it can be analyzed. I can definitely look over all of that information that I have written when I have more time. And that's my number one recommendation to all of you. I, however, am a writer. If that seems off, if that doesn't seem like comfortable to you, use your phone as a dictation device. Speak everything that you can possibly remember into it. All of our dreams hold a profound amount of information and insight. There has been diverse studies on this matter. Scientists, psychologists, and yes, even spiritualists, they will all unanimously say that there is much information contained within the sleeping state of the mind. As to the why and what, well, as you can imagine, that's highly debatable. Sleep is a time in which we can disengage from that physical realm and all the limitations that we may perceive here to explore other dimensions, realms, realities, and we feel free with no limitations. Actually, Native Americans, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Native Americans and Aztec civilizations, they believed that your spirit would leave your body while you were dreaming and it would wander to other places. And they also believed that they were able to speak to their ancestors through those dreams. And I'm sure that somebody has had a dream experience. And if you have, hit that thumbs up button. You know, dreams actually have a huge impact. It's historically documented on just how beneficial the dream realm was because it foreshadowed future events in the waking life. In Hellenistic times in Greece, they built beautiful temples that was called Asclepions, where people would go and sleep, and the cures would be given to them through those dreams. I mean, really, if you think about it, how amazing is it that we can astral travel, have complete access to the spirit world, and more importantly, that we can connect with our higher consciousness? It is and should be viewed as an extension of your reality. Now, most of us are told from an incredibly young age that your dreams are like a fantasy or something that doesn't exist. And eventually, you start to believe this information as fact, that dreaming is not a reality. And then you lose that ability, that connection to really connect with the meaning of the dream. So for the last 500 years or so, dreaming has been viewed as useless. It's just something you do each night between what you view as your real life. But it hasn't always been that way. In fact, dreaming was essential to daily life. Dreaming is something that has been embraced a lot more in the past than it is now. Dreaming is quite frankly taken for granted, and most likely because of people's lack of understanding and the knowledge behind why we dream. And I believe that they may simply have forgotten within that time of wakefulness, and that alone makes it seem irrelevant, which is why I really was happy to talk about this subject today. You know, ancient civilizations had such a great understanding of why we dream, and they used to revolve their everyday lives around what they would see in those dreams. In fact, it was particularly important in helping them function. Dreams were found recorded on clay tablets dating back to around 3000 BC. Ancient civilizations didn't view dreaming as just something you do while you sleep or garbage of the mind. They actually saw it as an extension of their reality. They didn't try to separate the differences between real life and dreaming, but instead they viewed everything as happenings, as one, that both were of equal importance. The Romans and the Greeks believed that dreams were direct messages from the gods, forewarning them about future events or advice and guidance of what they should do. It was viewed as a religious decree to listen to your dreams, and it was highly encouraged. They would not only listen to their dreams, but they would look at them as guidance. They would look into their dreams for answers to problems that they were having. Did you know that people would instead look to their dreams for answers on what was wrong with them and how to heal themselves? They didn't go outside of self. They looked within self to get those answers. That's pretty amazing, right? There was actually entire buildings erected to assist people in dreaming analysis when they had physical, emotional issues, which would be the equivalent today of the biggest holistic center you can possibly imagine. Dream analysts, now those were people that you could go to if they didn't understand their dreams. The dream analyst would analyze the dream for you and then give you the message behind your dreams. Those dream analysts were looked up to. They were highly respected. Not only that, but they were sought out and they were employed for their insight within the government, within the military. Many leaders would historically utilize them. So when did all of that change? Well, it's theorized sometime in the Middle Ages, what we refer to as the Dark Ages, right? During that time, people looked at dreams as, this horrible trickery of the mind. People believed religious clergy that touted the devil was tempting them with images and vile temptations in their most vulnerable state. Hello, it was the Dark Ages. Things were pretty friggin' dark and ominous. Obviously, they're going to have those dreams that are relating to the future in dark and ominous times. Well, obviously, the clergy overrode that logic, and therefore, all the previous notions of embracing those dream prophecies, they vanished. As more and more people spoon-fed their spouses and their children that dreaming wasn't reality, ignore it. It's garbage of the mind. It's nonsense. Don't be bothered to explore it. Well, we sadly lost all of that insight. Now, today we know from numerous scientific studies that the brain in a dreaming state has significantly more brain activity than when you're awake. And that shows that we're accessing an incredible amount. So I encourage you to create your own asclepion, your own retreat, your own personal haven to receive and to be open to your dreams. There is no magic trick to this. It's just training the mind to, instead of pushing what in the past you viewed as unimportant information, shift that into, I find this information valuable. I choose to retain it. Ask your spirit helpers, your guides, and your God for guidance each night. And you will be amazed at how quickly you can begin to receive information. Intention is everything. Okay, so now for tips. Before I give them, I want to give my usual disclosure regarding health. I am not a medical doctor. I cannot prescribe. Use good judgment and common sense. When in doubt, check it out with a licensed physician. Okay, so the first tip is to get a journal or use your phone for dictation. That's what I covered earlier. What I should add to that is do not try to dissect or find meaning into that dream at that specific time. You are simply transcribing the information. Once you have the time and the mental capacity to discern information, then review it. The second tip is, when you first wake up, don't adjust from that position. That was the most comfortable position that you sought out during, that restorative sleep process. Just stay still and be calm and allow that dream to fully surface before you move from that position. The third tip is relieve yourself of stress before you fall asleep. And I know a lot of people right now are like, sure, if I could do that, it would already be done. Most people have a flood of information when they first lay down. You know, for some people, it is the first time that they've had a chance all day to allow the brain and the body to relax. And most people have a ton of mental checklists on what needs to be done and what has been done throughout the day. And if you fall into this category, you know, what I would like you to do is consider getting a planner. Write all your checklists there. Get them out of your head and on paper or a tablet. You can easily review it multiple times a day for reference. And this actually, it also has the added benefit of giving you that dopamine boost when you actually get to check that box as it's completed or accomplished. So it's kind of a twofer. Now, the fourth tip is also a stress reducer. And what I suggest is doing a simple yet effective breathing method that will calm the parasympathetic system, which will lead to a more relaxed state of mind and body. And before you roll your eyes, I promise, not all breath work is created equal. A simple, timed breath routine where the exhale is longer than the inhale, it can be powerful enough to soothe the nervous system and that overworked mind. So I'm going to share with you something that I do, and I borrowed this routine from Tesla, actually. He used the 369 as a guiding compass through most of his life. You simply breathe in deeply through the nose to the count of 3, and then you exhale to the count of 6, and then you repeat that process 9 times. So why does this work? Why does it sound like magic? Well, when you exhale, even a few counts longer than you inhale, that vagus nerve that's running from, your neck down through the diaphragm, it actually sends a signal to your brain to turn up your parasympathetic nervous system and turn down the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system commands our fight or flight response. And when it fires, your heart rate, your breathing speed, your stress hormones all start pumping through your bloodstream, preparing your body to face whatever threat that is perceived. Now, the parasympathetic system, on the other hand, it controls your rest, your relaxation, your digestion response. So when that system is dominant, your breathing will slow, your heart rate will drop, your blood pressure will lower, and your body is naturally and organically guided back into a state of calm and relaxing. Put your body in that parasympathetic state. It just takes a very slight manipulation of the breath. Okay, the fifth tip is don't give up. Keep journaling. Even on days that you get nothing, write in your journal. Literally write, I didn't receive any insights, but I remain open and ready for the insight tomorrow brings. I know it sounds silly, but repetition is everything. Get yourself primed and ready and with the intention to receive. And the final tip, which is the sixth tip, is check with your physician about increasing melatonin or magnesium in your diet. Both will help to calm that vagus nerve and stimulate the pineal gland. It will induce sleep production, and in turn, it will encourage your dreams. So I hope that that was very helpful for everyone. Let me see what we have here. Hello, guys, as I'm just yammering on. Okay, so the wonderful Christine will be posting links to my recommended read. Will assist anyone in doing further research. And we are slowly approaching the second half of the show. So for now, we're going to take a short commercial break for our very valued sponsors. And when I come back, please hit the link in the comments to join me in the live studio. And, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Okay. Hello, thank you so much to our wonderful sponsors. Appreciate you all. If you would like to join me live in the studio, I just posted the link, and that would be awesome. If you have any questions, or if you've had a dream and you need assistance in interpreting it or making sense of it, or you just have a question in general. Fantastic. And while you guys get yourself sorted out in regards to that, I have to say I actually went to Simply Be Well over the weekend just to peruse their library because I'm a nerd and I love to read. They actually had a lot of good books on dream interpretations and methodologies in regards to that. So yeah, absolutely. You can check them out if you're local, and they'll have lots of stuff for you there. And it's saying, can't post, what is this? Where is the link? I'm sorry, I'm trying to read these. Where is the link? So you should see this in the comment section, and that is the link where you can join me. So if you hit on any of those, it will take you directly to me, and I would happily answer your questions. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Alicia, Rita, and Tom's here. Hi. Brent, Jennifer, I appreciate it. I appreciate you all a little bit. Hello. How are you? Okay. Perfect. Does anybody have any questions that they would like asked? Deb, okay. Could you explain lucid dreams for me? Yeah. So, lucid dream, how about if we go to lucid dreaming state first? And this is the question that was put by Deb. So, lucid dreaming state, it is the state in which you are just entering, where you feel as if you are still partly in the physical form, yet you have exited at the same time. So that would be that lucid dreaming state. Really easily able to accomplish that state. And again, I'm going to steal from Edgar Casey, his method. And I've practiced all of these just because, again, I'm a metaphysical nerd and I wanted to try everything. And his method was first, I believe he used a bell and then he moved on to a spoon. I use keys. So when you're sleeping, whether it's on the couch or in a recliner or on the bed, have your hand out, resting in a comfortable position with the keys or spoon or bell, whatever you choose, within your hand, and have a plate underneath that when it would fall, it would make a large clatter and it would wake you up. And you want to stay within the state that you're not quite asleep enough to where you're not aware of the physical form. So does that help explain it, Deb? That's a great question, by the way. Thank you so much for that. Okay. My mom always happens to have dreams about fish, and it always has to do with someone being pregnant. She hasn't been wrong as of yet. Well, I guess it depends. Fish is quite an unusual one. Yeah, it's quite unusual unless she deems that the womb within where birth takes place, the water, the amniotic sac, that's quite interesting. Very cool. For once, I draw a blank on questions. That's great. Would it be a lucid dream state if it involves past life recall? Yeah, that's a little bit different. Past life recall is definitely different than a lucid dream state, for sure. Yeah, great question, though. Very good question. I have shy viewers. They love to ask questions, but they don't want to come up here. What's going on, guys? Love it. Does anybody else have any questions? Do you have any other developmental questions? No makeup? No idea what that means. I'm sorry, you had to clarify. And I have a feeling you're laughing right now. I have no idea. Kids are around me. Okay. Well, you can feel free to type them out. That's totally fine. We have a bunch of people watching. Did she say I tried? Did you try to come on, Leilana, and it wouldn't let you on? I'm so sorry. You're more than welcome to try again, though, for sure. Very interesting. Very cool. Okay. So Edgar Casey, he's definitely, I mean, he's literally called the dreaming prophet. So I have almost every one of his books, because I just found his thought process very intriguing. Okay, here's a question. Lucid dreaming again. What is the difference between the types? Between lucid dreaming and dreaming? So, lucid dreaming is the state in which you can attain a perfect dream state, which is why that clanging would wake you up, which would give you better recall. So, that is the perfect stasis. I hope that I'm making sense by the way I'm describing that. Okay. I had a dream, but it seemed like I had stepped into my future self in the middle of a conversation. Then it seemed like I was pulled back. I don't know what that would be called. Oh, I think that was definitely a clear indication of where you would be. Yeah. So I would definitely look at that in a precog kind of matter of what will take place in the future, what will happen. Oh, she's back in the wonderful. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Charlie. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm
Okay.
glad you finally made it in.
I know. It only took me 4 tries and a dead arm. It's like my whole body, half my body went numb and tingly. But anyway, I'm really happy to be here tonight. I don't believe in coincidences. And guess what? First thing this morning when I woke up and after I wrote down my dreams, I immediately was like, I cannot wait to tell Charlie about this.
Awesome.
So, and then whenever I found out what you were talking about today, I was like, that's nuts. So, because like I had a dream that I know a lot of my dreams come true, and this one was very like, it was like, it pertained to what's going on today and what's literally happening within like my family and like all that other stuff like right now. And I saw like my brothers, my cousins, my aunt. And then when I woke up, I felt like, so I wanted to ask you, can, like people like that, it's like my father passed on. Now, when we're sleeping and doing things, sometimes can they help with impressions to, because I know I remember my dreams well, but like sometimes I wonder if he's like, hey, I want you to dream about this, especially
Do
since I'm
you think
sleeping.
that, are you asking if the ancestors can influence our dream state? Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
because it felt like that so bad. And I'm sleeping in his old spot, you know,
Mm-hmm.
right, like past week. So, yeah. So
Yeah,
it just,
absolutely.
it was really intense. And then,
If they're not getting your intention, or I'm sorry, attention, if they're not getting your attention in wakeful hours, wakeful moments, they're going to wait till you are at the stasis in the space of where they can get through to you the best way possible. And most often that's in the sleeping state. And most often that's because when you're in the sleeping state, you are not heavily in the grieving state. You may remember that loss, but you're not actively grieving that loss when you are in the sleeping state. That's why it most often occurs at that time to cause as little trauma as possible in the emotional responses,
yeah,
but still get the message across.
yeah,
So,
it felt
yeah,
very real and very passively observing it. That
yeah.
dream, it was like I'm totally passively observing this dream. And well, I'm actually gonna text you later, but I really am excited to ask you something else too. But anyway, yeah, the ancestor thing. Sorry, I don't know how to hold this thing. Okay. Well, right there. Okay. Now I forgot what was going on. Anyway, thank you.
No, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And just so all the viewers know, actually, this lovely soul, she is a graduate from my class. And so it's really cool to see you again and to have you continue to pursue, your knowledge. And do you think that you started really looking into your dream state actively as we were going through the course or after the course?
I mean,
Yeah.
like you helped me understand so much more, and you helped me grow like times a million. So, like you are my person. I look, you know what I mean? Like I trust you, and I have grown so much, and everyone can see it in me. And especially since that surgery, like I'm a totally different person again, and it just makes me
Yeah,
want
because
to
you
cry.
couldn't keep ignoring, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really great.
I recommend anyone who's listening, Charli does consultations, and so you have time, if you have time, it's worth it.
You're like the salesperson. That's
I'm not
so
even
funny.
trying to sell you because you sell it doesn't even need to sell you because you're that, like, you are literally that good. I've had many mentors before you, and I've never been where I'm at today, and I thank you so much for that from the bottom of my heart. And trust is a huge thing too, and you are honest, and since you're so honest, it's easy to trust you. So for me that was huge.
Well, I appreciate that. I really definitely appreciate that. When you started like thinking about, oh, maybe I should pay attention to my dreams in a deeper capacity, all of those methods, those little tips or tricks or whatever you want to call it, did you find that it helped surface the dreams a little bit more when you had that intention of, okay, this is valuable information?
Absolutely. And I think especially if you focus your intention on, like, before you go to bed, you say my intention is to remember my dream and at least be able to write it down, like you said, on your phone, or if you have a dream notebook. But even your phone, you could be half asleep and just talk into it and say what you remember.
Yeah.
Then go back to it later, because like for some people, like when you're don't sleep alone and you have a partner and you're like, good morning, and then you like forget everything, or your kids come running in, or whatever it is, your dogs are jumping on you. It's like, wait, when you said don't move, that's such great advice, because it's like, take a second.
Yeah.
And then if you can, after you don't move, if you can reach your hand to grab your pencil or grab your phone and just say a dream.
Just stay in that spot.
Yeah.
Let all of that dream come to the surface.
Right.
Gain all of that. And once that happens, then start writing or dictating. So
exactly. So like,
yeah.
And then it helps sometimes if you do talk to someone that you trust about your dream, if you want to, or you keep it to yourself. But for me this morning, my brother's here, and so I was like, John, come here. And so like I had to tell him my dream right away too, because it was just
Perfect.
The dream was like felt really real. So I guess I could ask you one more question pertaining to that. So the dream felt really like this is a premonition kind of dream, and I don't know if I ask you, if you pick up on what I dreamt about, if I ask, does that seem like it's going to happen soon? Do you hear a yes? Or the symbology of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's way too personal for this show, but yes.
I know.
Yeah.
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 But I really am so glad to jump on here and say hello, and thanks for taking
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. It's good to see you, love.
Yeah, and if I think of something else, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I love you. Thank you.
I love you too. Bye-bye. All right. We have Gabrielle in this stream. Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Wow. Long time no see.
It took me 15 minutes to figure out how I got onto your broadcast. I was like, I just did this last week.
That's awesome. How are you doing?
Good.
It's good to see you.
A couple questions that I have concerning dreams. One is, a lot of times I don't remember dreams, and I think I need to write down my intention before I go to bed, or have something next to my bed so when I wake up, because it seems like I may have them, and as soon as I wake up, my thought just disappears. Now, my wife told me one night, probably a couple of weeks ago, I woke up in the middle of the night screaming. I don't even remember doing it. And then I went back to bed.
Interesting.
So I wasn't sure what triggers that, or what brings about that, if that's something from the day, or that's just something I'm suppressing back from my subconscious.
Well, it could be a multitude of things, right? So some people have, even though they don't want to admit it, they have an extreme fear of success and how that success could change and alter their life. So you could have had a dream about how your success had propelled you, but it could have damaged relationships, which caused you to scream in the effort of understanding the loss of them.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, because that almost sounds like it fits. Almost to the point of like dead on, that there's a part of me that like doesn't want to let go. And then there's a part of me that's like fighting, saying, come on, we got to let this go and move on. It's time. And there's this internal struggle that I keep going back and forth with, that it's like a wrestling match. And so I think you bring up a very good point for me to start working on.
Yeah, I would say that a large majority of clients that I have in the educational setting for development,
right,
it is the fear of success that will hold them back at the beginning. It's not the fear of failure, because deep down, you know you will succeed. Deep down, you know that you have the goods, right?
Yeah.
It is the fear of success and how that will change or alter circumstances, situations, people, family, friends, and the dynamics of those relationships, you know?
But what you bring up is so true, because what I see is every day I see my skill at work more now than I ever have. Probably after working with you and, really like opening up my eyes and starting to do the meditations. And I was listening to shadow work on a run. I don't know. I used to listen to it all the time, and then I switched to something else, but I started going back to that. And I used to also listen to fairy rings from years ago that really puts me in a good place. But what I realized was I see my skill on an everyday basis. Like I told you the other day, I told my wife, we had a death in the family, my son's ex-girlfriend. And the first thing I said to my wife was, it was fentanyl. And she goes, well, we don't know that. I said, I'm telling you. And I don't know where that came from. I mean, it just came out of my, it's like this knowing or intuition. I'm saying this is what it is. And I see this every day. But then I think, like we had the conversation recently, okay, so these are all the things I got to start putting in place to get myself out there. And there's this part of me like, no, I don't want to do that. But then there's a part of me that's saying, cut the shit, stop playing, and let's move this forward.
Yeah.
Because you're going to succeed. Yep. You know it's going to happen. She told you whether you want to or not, this is your work.
Yep.
This is what you were destined to do, And I think it's almost like, not that I have to push myself, but there's this hesitation, like you said, it's the fear of success.
Absolutely.
That it's not that I don't believe I can do it. It's the fear of being in that light.
Yep. And how that's going to alter or change or overshadow people, without divulging much on a public platform,
Right.
But overshadow because your abilities are very strong and they're accurate.
Right.
Yeah.
And I see that more and more, and I guess I just have to own, and I think you've told me this before, but I just have to own it and really work on just trust the process and shut the chatter. And that's really, I think the two things I've learned from you and April is I got to do more meditation because I have too much between my ears. And I'm gonna send you a quote that I have on my computer screen, and it's basically a quote from The Wolf on Wall Street. And the only thing that's stopping you from getting to where you want is the bullshit between your ears. And basically, it's the chatter that I'm listening to that really doesn't mean anything, but it's just interference that I got to stop listening to and paying attention to.
The biggest disservice that anyone can do to themselves is to dull their shine to make other people more comfortable.
Right.
It is not your job nor your responsibility to be in charge of how everybody else feels.
Right.
You can just authentically and genuinely be yourself. And when you do that, it feels so amazing.
Well, and I think that's a part of something that I probably need to get back into, because when I did a lot of conscious work with, I think I told you, a mentor that I knew for 20 years, being in that moment or that authenticity was like awesome.
Yeah.
But there's times when it's like, okay, I've had enough. Let me step away because it's getting too close.
Right.
Or it's getting too overwhelming. And sometimes that's what I feel like in moving forward with this. I know this is authentic. I know this is what I've been put here for. I know that this is my strength that I've been doing all my life, just not realizing it. And talking to you now kind of confirms what that dream really was. In connecting with the fear of being in the light.
Yeah. So is things going to change, Gab? Yeah.
Yeah,
things
absolutely.
Will change.
Well, it's always changing, no matter what, whether it's good or bad. I know that and I see that. It's whether how I perceive it or if I am willing to go with the flow.
Right.
Because when I resist it, that's when the pain kicks in.
Right.
Pain is inevitable, as my mentor used to say. Suffering's a choice.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
And that's so I need to meditate more, cut the shit between my head, between my ears, and just be in the moment. So that's my assignment for the week.
Okay.
Is to really hone in and work on that so that I can lose all the static.
And I know that you can.
Yeah,
I know that you can. So the only person that can show up for you is you.
Yep.
That's it.
You are 100% right. But I'm glad I called, because I almost said I'm going to do something else. It's too late.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad.
And then I said there's still time. See, that must be my ego trying to check me out.
No.
and tell me stay off the podcast.
So
That's what
well,
I'm.
again, I think even subconsciously we're aware of things that we don't want to accept or hear, even if they're valid,
Right.
you know? So you got the ego and the higher self battling it out. Don't do it, do it, don't do it, do it, you know?
Right. It's a wrestling match. That's a lot of times where I'm at with this. So I get it. I see it now more now than a week or two ago when that popped up. So I get it. That's interesting. So I'm going to have to do some journaling and some meditation to see what comes up, and I'll let you know.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate all of your sharing and insight. And
thank you.
It'll be a wonderful ride. Keep me updated, though.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Absolutely. I'll keep you posted on what develops.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. All right. Let's see if I have a few more minutes. Let's see what I have here. Okay. I never wanted to write my dreams and visions, but a friend convinced me, so I write them down in my laptop. But one day they were all just gone. So now I just keep them all in my head. I strongly encourage you to write them down in a just a regular notepad or a book or a special pad that you have, because they can't mysteriously disappear if they're written down. And I know that's unfortunate, but definitely something you can do. Unfortunate, I'm sorry. So I forget my dreams a lot of the time too. Yeah, totally normal too, though. Keep that in mind. Totally normal. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for coming on and joining me. I appreciate all of your time, your patience, and your love for supporting me. And if you haven't, please stick around, because in 1 minute, April will be coming on, who is the psychic housewife of New Jersey. And until next week, I will see you same time, same place. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.